Do a review in Maimorim Olukotim. This is in Chelik Gimel. This is the 27th Maimer. The Maimer was said Shabbos Parshas Kedoshim Mevorchim Achodesh Iyur in the year Tovshin Yudalet. The Maimer is Al Shloisha Dvorim Ha'olam Oimed. This Maimer was later on published in Chof Aleph Elul Tovshin Nun, and that was in honor of Tuesday, which Huchma by Kitov in the portion of Nitzavim Vayelech. So Tuesday of Nitzavim Vayelech, the 21st day of Elul, which is coming up on it. That was 50 years since the dedication of Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash HaMerkozi, 770 in Lubavitch, Lubavitch. That's 770. It was 50 years in Chof Aleph El Tovshin Nun. And originally it was Tovshin in which they dedicated, they got the building 770, and they published the Maimer in that honor. And the Rebbe said this Maimer in the Parshas Kedoshim, Shabbos Parshas Kedoshim, Baruch Machedesh Iyur, Tovshin Yudalet, and this Maimer is a hemshech to the Maimer that precedes it, the Nochol of Ruach Hashem of Achrin Shel Pesach. So then the next hemshech the Rebbe gave in the next Parshas Kedoshim, the Rebbe talked the hemshech of the Maimer. That's the Maimer. The Maimer is the hemshech. The Rebbe is going to make reference to the Maimer inside the Maimer. Let's look the Maimer inside. Sayayta Dishmaya, Shabbos Parshas Kedoshim, Mevorchim Achodesh Iyur, Tovshin Yudal. The Rebbe brings down the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, which also you start to learn it very first Perek after Shabbos, after Pesach, the 6 weeks between Pesach and Shavuos, you learn Pirkei Avos. First Shabbos is Al Shloisha Dvorim. So Al Shloisha Dvorim Ha'olam Oimed. So the Mishnah says that the world stands on three things: Al HaTorah, on the study of Torah; Al HaAvodah, on service, korbanos, davening; Gemilas Chasodim, an act of kindness. Or maybe Kveit Kedushas Merichomu Admur b'Mamorei Dibur Hamaskel. So he brings down in this Maimer, the Friedke Rebbe brings down, so the Maimer was said from the Friedke Rebbe, that was actually in Tovshin, the beginning when the previous Rebbe first came to America. So it says, the Rebbe says, the Friedke Rebbe, the Maimer, he brings down Pirush Rabbeinu Hazokin, the Alter Rebbe's explanation. Alter Rebbe teaches Al Shloisha Dvorim Ha'olam Oimed. The word Olam comes from the Lashon Helam. On three matters, the Helam, the obscurity, stands. Al Shloisha Dvorim Ha'olam Oimed, Al Shloisha Dvorim Ha'helam Oimed. This obscurity, the world which is a Helam, stands. The Helam world stands on three things. Mevayer b'hamaimer hakesher de pirush admur hazoken hahelem oimed in pirush haposhid ha'olam oimed. So the maimer of the previous Rebbe explains what's the connection between the Alter Rebbe's taich that the helem obscurity stands with the simple meaning that the world stands. Ki inyan ha'olam hu helem, because what is the world? World is obscurity. World obscures Hashem. And this world of obscurity stands on three things. The Maimer adds the Hahelem Sheba Olam. Why is there this obscurity in this world? That godliness is obscure. Because the world was created by obscuring the light, by hiding the light. Okay, the is of Eitz Chaim, as we find in Eitz Chaim, the Kshahoya Ein Sof Memale Kol HaMetzias. When the infinite light of the Ein Sof was filling all existence, Loi Hoya Mokim Lamidas Ha'ilam, there was no space for the world to stand. Ubichdei Sheyiyeh Mokim La'ilam Beis, Hutzrach Liyos Siluk Ha'oir. In order for the world to be existent, there needed to be a removal of the light. The Eitz Chaim says that when the light was filled in the world, there could be no room for a world. And there needs to be an obscurity or removal, a silukoin. So the Rebbe says now, what is the Rebbe adding with this explanation that the Helem of the world is because the world was created through the Helem, is to explain to us it's not like that there is a world and then there is obscurity, that something blocks it. But the world to begin with is an obscure world because that's the way it's created. It teaches you about the obscurity of the world. So we can say the Behoisof, this edition of the Rebbe, of the Friedrich Rebbe, that the world lechatchila was created, it had to be siluk ha'oir in order for it to be a metzius of the world. Mudgash yoser inyan halam ha'olam. That is more emphasize the idea of the obscurity of the world. How so? That it's not a world that has Helem, but the world to begin with is Helem. Helem, Shaboi, Hulik, Meidavar Noisvalov. The obscurity that's in the world is not like an additional added thing to the world. Elo Shabrias Ha'ilam, to create world to begin with, Hu Al Yidei Helem Ha'oid, that comes through obscuring the light. That's how world can be. We say to Mizu, it's not only that this is the way the world was created, but it cannot be nothing. It's impossible to be otherwise. There could be no possibility for the world even to stand. Not only was it created through obscurity, it could not even be a possibility. You say to Mizu, had there not been obscurity, if it was revelation, like the Eire Sof B'Malekol HaMetzias Lechatchila, there would not nothing to talk about. There wouldn't even be a space for room for Elamais. Not only that there would not have been actual creation if there was light, but there would not even be a potential, no room for room. Okay, so that's the first point that the Rebbe explains there, that the Helem of the world is tied to the world, and to tell us that there is, without the Helem, there could be no creation, and that's part of the world is Helem. That's what our Shleish Dvorim, Ha'olam Helem. Rebbe continues in the Maimer, but the purpose is not for the Helem, the purpose is to bring in Gilu Helem. So it continues the Maimer, the Kavona Sahelem Ubishvil Hagilui. The intent of this obscurity is so that there should be revelation. Bal Yidei Hasoras Ahelem, by removing the Helem. The world is Helem created, but when we remove it, Mizgal Oir Hapnimi Shebtzofen Bahelem, then it reveals the inner light, which is hidden inside the obscurity, that the light is there by removing, when a Yid Avoida Shloish Advarim Ha'ilam Aimed, he removes the Helem and reveals the Gilui. Zehu Al Shloish Advarim Ha'ilam Aimed. And this is on the three items that the Helem, the world stands by. They Avoida B'Torah, Avoida Gmilos Chasadim, through the service of Torah, Avoida Gmilos Chasadim. Mesirim esahelem umizgale rapnimi. You remove the obscurity and you reveal the inner light. That is the shloisha dvarim. The Rebbe now explains that when the Maimer says that the purpose of the Helam is the Gilui, that explains why we're saying Al Shleisha Dvarim Ha'olam Olam, because it's Chayredach, not the Olam. The Shleisha Dvarim bring the Helam, bring Gilui, not Helam. So why are we saying Al Shleisha Dvarim Ha'elam Olam? Because in the Helam is hidden the Gilui. So that means when we're saying that Helam stands, that is the hidden part of the Helam that becomes revealed through the three. Shloimar, you say the Mashekos, that this, that the Mimer says, Shekavod Nasa Helam Hu Bishvil HaGilui, that the intent of the Helam is for the purpose of the revelation. That is in order to explain the Mishnah. Al shloisha dvarim ha'olam oimet, to say it three matters. The world, the olam stands, and we're saying olam helam according to the Alter Rebbe's Taich. But Torah Avodim is not helam; that's kilui. Dagam shal yidei. So that's why the Rebbe explains into the Maimer. And he brings down that the kavonas helam b'shvil hagilui. Dagam shal yidei Torah v'idog milus chasodim nimshach gilui elikus. Even though through Torah v'idog milus chasodim we extend the revelation of godliness, still he says al shloish advarim ha'olam oimed. On three things the oilam stands ha'helem oimed. Ki kavonas ha'helem hu b'shvil hagilui. The purpose of the Helam is for the Gilui. The intent of Helam is Gilui. So therefore, the Akavona shall call Dovaru inyan apnimi. The intent of everything, that's its inner thing. So what is Helam? Helam's inner is Gilui. That's the intent. That's the Gilui. That's why it says on three things the Helam stands. Because what is the inner aspect of the world, which is Helem, that is Nimshchalakus. So Helem for the purpose of Gilui, so that's really like saying the revelation lies in these three things through Torah and Mus Chasadim. Now, this also explains why it's three things. Why Shloisha Dvarim, not just generally. Al Torah mitzvahs. Why are we saying specifically Shloisha Dvarim? So based on this, that the Helam is the Gilui, that's the inner of the Helam. So we can explain Masha Kosuf, what it says, Al Shloisha, the Mishnah says on three things. The Mizem Mashma, from this it appears, that in order for it to be standing of the world, there should be revelation in the world. We're not saying just Torah mitzvahs is there to bring Gilul across the world. Here it's important not only generally the idea of Torah mitzvahs to bring Gilui, Elohim the Shloisha Dvarim, but specifically three items. Because the idea of the world standing is Shagilui Elokus Shenimshach Ba'olam Al Yidei Torah mitzvahs, that the godliness that is revealed in the world through Torah mitzvahs, it shouldn't be an added item. So you have an olam, and you have a gilu that comes to the Ella sheyizgale boy, but what we want that in the world should be revealed, shahakavona vinyone hapnimi de ha'olam, that what is the intent, what is the inner aspect of Olam Helem, that itself that should be Gila Lukus. This idea that the world itself, the Helem itself reveals, and that it should have revelation of godliness, that this is what Helem is, to reveal godliness, for that you need the Gimel Dvorim. The Gimel Dvorim. That is through its being divided up into three matters, Gimel Sugim, three categories, Torah, Avodah, Ugmilos Chasodim. Torah, Avodah, and Gmilos Chasodim. And this the Rebbe will explain now that because we are trying to point out that the Helem itself purpose is not to bring other revelation, but the Helem itself should be Nizgala, that we should see that the purpose of obscurity is the revelation, that is itself the obscurity. For that we need three categories, more than just saying Torah mitzvahs, which brings light into the world. How so? That the Rebbe is going to explain. Based, you and Zebahagdi Mashin is badly ill will understand it by introducing that which has been explained earlier by Maimer al-Koidim in the previous Maimer of Enocha, Lov Ruach Hashem and Tovshin Yudal Nachren Shel Pesach. The Biur Maimer Razal explaining the Maimer Razal from Tikkunei Zohar over there with regards to the Ein Sof, it says the Maimer quoted before. Oir Ein Sof l'mayla mayla adein ketz u'lamata mata adein tachlis. The infinite light of the Ein Sof, it's higher and higher to no end, and lower to no finish. It goes all the ways up, all the ways down. What are we talking about specifically when we're talking higher and higher and lower? The Milo, Mato, and Bederach Klau. What is Milo and what is Mato? Milo is Atzilus and Mato is Bri Tzirasi is Bia. Atzilus Ubia. Pirush Oirin Sof Lamailo Chulu. Ulamato Chuluhu. So what does it mean? The Sof is Lamailo Lamato. Shaha Ilu Vahashleimus Deirin Sof Ubishnei Yonim. That the advantage and the completeness of the Ein Sof is in two areas, in two aspects. In the aspect of this drawing down the descent below, to create and to vitalize the creation of Bri Tzirasya. And within Bri Tzirasya, Lemata Mata ad ein tachlis, not just biyah generally, within asiya into the lowest level of asiya. Lemata mata shu nimshach lahachiyos hanivroyim shebe'olam hazeh hagashmi. He extends the Ein Sof to vitalize the creations that are in this physical world, which there is nothing lower than it. Not only the creations which are klipas noige, but also are gashmis, but it extends to vitalize also the klipas. That's in the area how low it goes. And then the Ein Sof, and in the other area, the area of exaltness, also the upper worlds, Atzilus and higher than Atzilus, which is Lamaila, Milo, higher and higher, his Havusam hu meha'ara bilubad. Their creation is only from a ray, Shebe'ein arayich legabe yizbarich, which is no comparison, has no value relative to Hashem. It's only a ray from Hashem. Ein Sof goes all the ways down, and even the highest level is only hard. These two ideas generally are hamemale v'eir haseviv. These the mata is the eir hamemale, and the milo is the eir haseviv. The eir hamemale who inyan hayirida v'hamshacha lamata. In the light that fills the world over there, we have the descent and bringing down below lahachis as sanivron l'ferkom, to vitalize the created being according to their level. We're bringing it down. As we'll see, these are the three things of Torah, Avodah, and Milus Chasodim, to bring it all the ways down and to bring it all the ways up, to reveal in the world. This is what the Rebbe is getting at. So, the Shnei Yonim El V'derech Klal, Ve'eram Mala Ve'eram Sod, Ve'eram Mala Hu Inyan HaYerida V'hamshocha L'mato. Over there's the descent and bringing down L'Hachyes as Anivron L'Ferkom, to vitalize the created beings according to their capabilities, according to their value, their abilities. And in the light that surrounds who inyan ha'haflo v'aremis. Over there is the awesomeness, the exaltness, how high it is. Shekola oilamis. V'gam ha'oir shemislavish b'hem. That all the worlds, and also the light that dresses up in the worlds, but there they are uncomparable, and they're considered like nothing relative to Hashem. The Eir Sof, we see the exaltness of the Atzmus of the Hashem, and in the Eir Memale we see the descent to go down even to the lowest of levels. So from these two aspects of the Eir Sof, that it is higher and higher Seviv, and it's lower and lower, that creates these two areas, the two ideas, the two aspects of above and lower in the world. That's created from Seviv Mali. Because really, Milo Mata is in all worlds. In every world, we have the Milo and we have the Mata in the world. The Hametziyas Sheba Olam is the entity, the existence of the Olamis. Gam Hametziyas Sheba Atzilus even when we talk about, even though before we said Atzilus before, that's the Milo, but the Metzias part of, which is even higher than Tzilus, who Hamata Shabahem, that's within the world, that is their lower. That's the entity within them. The In Haratzui, and the idea of running, Yitziyim and Mitzias, on the other hand, we have the idea of wanting to leave their Mitzias, that's Yitziyim Mitzias. And that is, on the other hand, also in Biyah, that's even in Biyah. Level of Mitzias and level of Rotzi is the two ideas of Mata Maila. Even in Biyah, running out, that is the higher, the upper level in them. These two aspects that are in the world come from the two aspects in the Eir Sof. The Eir HaMemale, that creates the Metzias, the Mata, and the Eir HaSovev, which creates the Haflah, which is the level of the mind. The Eir HaMemale Shubitnu, the Rida v'Hamshocha Lamata, from the Eir HaMemale, which is the movement of descent and coming below, Nasa Hamata HaMetzias Shabaylos, that makes the Mata the Metzias in the world. And the upper level, the that running, that they want to go out from their existence, that is from the revelation of the exalted himself, Soviv. The sense of Soviv in Eilamais brings about that Rotzi. The sense of Memale brings around that level of down, the level of Metzias, the level of their Mata. And so these are the inyonim the way they are in the spheres, in the Milo, Mata, and the Bob. Now we'll say that this is also in Avodah Sa'odam, the Milo, Mata is the level, the infusion of the Malukul Alim and Sevil Kalam as we continue learning in Nois Gimel. So the Rebbe now is going to say that everything in the world is created essentially for the person. And therefore, also this Milo, Milo, Mato, Mata, the Ein Sof, Milo, Milo, the Ketz, Mato, Mata, the Tachlis, the two levels of the Mala and Soviv are for the person, for his Avoida, the Avoida of the person's level of Mitzias and the Avoida of Hafla. Let's look inside Gimel. Hine Yodua, it's known, when we say that the Bria is for the person, Hakavona bazehi loy rak librias hoilamis. The intent here is not just creation of the world. Koilol gam oilam ha'atzilus, v'oilam es ha'insof shel ma'al ha'atzilus, including also that everything is not for, not even the world of Atzilus and the Eres and higher than Atzilus. That's not that's not the only thing is for the person, that the highest levels, Atzilus, are for a person. But all Giluyim. Gam Giluyim Achil Ma'alu. Even the greatest Giluyim. Because we're trying to say now about the Eidin Sof L'mayla Mayla Den Ketz, which is even higher than Atzilus. That too is for the person, for the Odom, for the human being. So based on this, that everything is for the person, that the intent of these two matters in the Eidin Sof, which is Inyan hayirida v'ha'amshocha lemato de'er hamamale, the idea of the descent and things that are extended below of the Eir HaMemale. Ve'inyan ha'halo v'ha'reimemus de'er ha'seviv, and the idea of the elevation, the exaltness of the Eir ha'seviv. Koilel gam ha'shoydesh dishnoi in yonim elu k'moi shehem be'erin sof shlifnei ha'tzimtzum. And that would include even the root of these two matters, of these two levels of the Halo and the Remze Sof, as their Neres of Tzimtzum. So now we're putting this highest of levels that is available. All this is for the Odom. The Rebbe explains, what are we talking about? The Nesof Shlifnei Tzimtzum. What are these two levels that we're talking? Milo, Adin Sof, Mata, Adin Tachlis. Ha'oir da alois ha'rotzin. You have the oir of where the rotzin came up. Shuhu ha'shoydesh the oir ha'mimale. That is the root of the oir ha'mimale. And then you have the ha'oir, and you also have the oir shekoidem alois ha'rotzin, which is before there was even the rotzin came up. The rotzin, where the rotzin came up in Lifnei HaTzimtzum, that's the Shoresh of Memale. And then we have the Oyer that is before Lois Rotzon, Shua Shoresh Deir HaSeviv. So all these creation of these Oyers, so that there should be similar to these two areas, two aspects in the service of man. Generally speaking, these are the two lines, the two areas of Torah and prayer. The tefillah hi alo milmato l'maylo. Tefillah is elevating from below to above. Dal yidei ha his baininus the tefillah, through a person's meditation and reflecting when he's davening. Hu yotzem imtziusei. Then he goes out from his existence, from his being an entity, to the extent that it comes to the undressing of physicality, removal of physicality. That is tefillah. Tefillah is elevation, to lose your metzias. The Torah but Torah, on the other hand, that's bringing it down from above to below. The inyan esek haTorah, because the idea of occupying in Torah, it's not that a person negates his intellect. You're not becoming not a metzias. You're not negating your intellect. The Torah extends and dresses up in the intellect of the person. It's extending from above to below. Seirim is more than this. The Torah it's such a madrega. It's not just that it can come down to seichel, but it can also come down into the lowest of the person. This that Torah can extend to the intellect of the person, even if a person is in a situation which he is not clean, opposite of clean. It says Madivre Torah. They can in and out every situation. A person is mechuyev study starter. So this becomes similar to the idea to bring down the Ein Sof low till there's no end all the way to the bottom. As we said before, that it extends to vitalize not only the physical creations in this world, also the klippas. The equivalent to Torah, that Torah comes down not only in the seichel of the person, but even to the tomb of the person. And just like in this aspect, in the area of lower law, the tachlis, even when he extends below to vitalize the creation, even the klippas. The light, the energy, the light of Hashem doesn't change. Similar is by the Hamshach of Torah. Even as the Torah extends into the human intellect, even if he's in a condition, a situation that he's not clean, Idvar Hashem, it still remains Idvar Hashem. It doesn't matter that it's able to impact and affect and come down to the lowest level. It remains always the Dvar Hashem, just like the oil that Mechai the Klippas doesn't change. It remains in there. The same thing is with this, with the Torah that comes down. It doesn't impact the Dvar Hashem, even though the one who's learning it is in a situation of Hepech Hatar.